guess.
What's up, everybody? It's O, the Realtor. I'm back with my good friend Don Messenia, fellow Realtor. And today we are going to talk about the value of a good Realtor to a seller. So in this market right now in New Jersey, it is still hot. Properties are still selling if they're priced correctly. And, you know, a lot of times there are home sellers who wonder, okay, should I hire a Realtor? What value does a Realtor bring to me if I want to sell? So we're going to talk about some of that.
I mean, we know what all the values are, but I think that what people get stuck on is paying a commission, right?
Yes.
Folks feel as though I'm going to pay this huge percentage, which is really not a huge percentage, and for what? What am I getting back?
Right.
So it's almost like you have to back your way into it and just understand that when you don't use a realtor, first of all, how much work is it really? How much work really goes into showings?
Right.
Prepping your home,
Right.
doing the right thing. You could spend a lot of money doing things that have nothing to do with getting you a better value.
Yes.
Understanding the market itself,
Yep.
the proper sales strategy. It's a real job that people don't believe is a real job.
They think we
so,
just stick the sign in the yard and then
collect our commission.
collect our commission. Oh, here along comes the perfect buyer. 30, 45 days later, we're at the closing table. No. So what I wanted to do is share some of our experiences. So tell me some of the value that you brought to a seller in certain situations.
I mean, besides just doing the heavy lifting on the preparedness that let's say that you have a gem. Your house is absolutely gorgeous. That might give you the incentive or the disincentive. You might be disincentivized from getting a realtor because my house is beautiful.
Of course, yeah.
But improperly pricing your house, not being available for showings,
Yes.
not sharing the right kind of information with prospective buyers. Buyers
Right.
are going to come with agents themselves in many cases.
Most of the time, yeah.
And because you're operating in a minority, if you think about it, you're essentially, if you're not offering at least a commission to the buyer's agent, a buyer's agent may steer their client clear of your listing.
Absolutely.
So you kind of want to have representation on both sides.
Right.
And also, buying and selling a home is probably one of the top 3 most stressful things that someone can do.
Yeah. That is so true.
So there's a
So
lot.
true.
I don't even know if I can even, quantify all that's included, but it really doesn't matter whether or not your house is in terrific shape,
Right.
whether or not you feel as though it's a hot market, so you're going to get a sale. But what if you
Right.
get a sale, and what if you're accepting a combination of things that are not necessarily the best or optimal? How would you know?
How would you know? Absolutely. Now, let's start with one of the most basic things we talked about, pricing.
Yeah.
So one of the things many sellers don't think about is the pricing. Everybody thinks their home is worth more than what it is, right? So the first thing a good realtor should do is sit down, have a talk with you, and let's talk about comps. Let's talk about where we should be positioned as far as price. Now, like you just said, even in a hot market, pricing is everything. You can't just price things anywhere. Sure, we had hot markets where people were way overpriced, still sold. However, now that we're entering into a weird place where the market is a little more neutral, however, it's still a hot market. Now, if you're overpriced, one of the first things that's going to happen is that those first 30 days mean everything, right? So
The first 2 weeks means everything.
First 2 weeks means everything. So you want to be able to have the leverage, and you lose the leverage after the 30 days. If you're overpriced, the first thing that's going to happen, you're going to end up having to do a price reduction. So your realtor
Well,
should
the
be
first
sitting
thing that
down with
happens
you.
is that you're going to suppress your showings if you're overpriced. And overpriced is kind of a tricky concept.
Absolutely.
Overpriced could be the price that you think that you're going to get, right?
Right.
So this is specific to the New Jersey market, what I'm about to say. But there are other markets where this could apply. So if, for example, you're like, I think my house is worth $400,000, I am going to list it for $400,000.
Right.
Right? Because I think that that's what I can get out there in the market.
Right.
It's possible that that's what you can get out there in the market. But because the industry right now is used to, I now as a buyer have to go in and bid 20 to 30%, 20 to 30,000, 40, 50,000 above the list price.
Right.
They're not thinking about 40,000. what they're coming in at, they're thinking at 450,000.
Right.
And if that's outside of what they want to spend, then you have made a pricing mistake. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
So if you know that this
So-
is the tradition of the market, right? And an agent will know that.
Yeah.
It may not be the case in all markets, but if you know that this is what people are doing, the
Absolutely.
reason you want to price under the price that you're anticipating is because you want to get boots in the door.
Right.
You want people to come and see the house. You want to create a feeding frenzy. You want people to have the room to be able to give you that offer of $400,000. So
Right.
$400,000 may not be your list price.
Right. That's a great point. You want to price maybe a little bit under so you can get more. And a lot of times sellers don't understand that. They're pricing at the top or above the top of what they really can get. And at the end of the day, that does suppress the eyes and the boots you're going to get on the property.
For a variety of reasons.
You know,
a whole host
so
of reasons.
that's one of the first things I think an agent should be able to do is sit down with you and give you that strategy.
But
I mean,
how does an agent know that?
So that's a great question. I think, how does an agent know that? Agent needs to look at comps and what you just said and need to know what's going on in the market.
Right.
Because comps are one thing, but what's going on in the market is another, right?
Right.
So like you said, specifically to New Jersey, you have a certain type of market. And if you go to other markets that maybe are, pulling back a lot, like a Las Vegas or Boise, Idaho, some of these places where it was like way overpriced during the last couple of years, now they're pulling back. They have to price a little different than what we would have to price here. So that's one of the first things I think an agent should have a good conversation with the seller about that, because what ends up happening is that, and we see it all the time, if you aren't priced correctly, you don't sell. What happens? The listing expires, and okay, now you're back to square one. I need to hire a new realtor or go back again with the same realtor and put together a new strategy. And
The longer you're on the market, we know that the more people are going to wonder what the heck is wrong with this property.
Right.
And if you don't
Right.
get it right the first time, it's not like you're going to take it off the market and put it back on the market and nobody's going to know. And
Right.
there's going to be a whole new fresh set of buyers. There might be a whole new fresh set of buyers, but there's a Zillow listing somewhere floating in the background that a buyer is going to ask their real estate agent about. Well, what happened here?
Right.
Why did those deals fall apart? All of those questions, as soon as they arise, it hurts your future listing. So getting it wrong at the beginning could really hurt your chances of getting those price points that you want.
100%.
So the proper guidance really is so instrumental in making sure that you make as much money as possible.
Absolutely. And that's a great point, because buyers do their research. They will go and look. I mean, don't think buyers are not. Buyers see what was on the market before, and they have the attitude too that, okay, you were on the market for 500
Yeah.
before. I ain't paying 500 now.
Right.
even if
Right.
even if you go back at 500.
Right.
I've seen listings that were expired, went back on the market for the same price they were before, and guess what happens when it closed? It closes $20,000, $25,000 under, simply because it didn't sell like that before. It's not going to sell like that now. So that's one of the first things.